فؤادك الأيام فتى.
سنة واعتقاد الدين للإمامين أبي زرعة وأبي حاتم الرازيين. قال اللالكائي في اعتقاد أهل السنة: أخبرنا محمد بن مظفر المقري قال حدثنا حسين بن محمد بن حبيش المقري قال حدثنا أبو محمد عبد الرحمن بن أبي حاتم قال سألت أبي وأبا زرعة عن مذاهب أهل السنة في أصول الدين وما أدراكن عليه العلماء في جميع الأمصار وما يعتقدان من ذلك، فقال أدركنا العلماء في جميع الأمصار حجازا وعراقا وشاما ويمنا، فكان من مذهبهم الإيمان قول وعمل يزيد وينقص.
Inshallah ta'ala, we're going to start this kitab, أصول السنة واعتقاد الدين واعتقاد الدين للإمامين أبي زرعة وأبي حاتم الرازيين. So inshallah ta'ala, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the biography of both of the authors of this book. Again, this book inshallah ta'ala is an Aqeedah book. It's an Aqeedah book, and inshallah ta'ala we hope to go through it by doing not a detailed explanation, but more of, because the book is small in size, and so we shouldn't go into too much details, because we're hoping to go through more details as the books that come after it comes. So Aqeedatu Tahawiyya, inshallah, which we're going to be doing, we'll go more details in that book inshallah ta'ala. This book inshallah ta'ala is Usul al-Sunnah, and a lot of the times the ulama who authored aqaid books, they call their books Usul al-Sunnah, Sharh al-Sunnah, Fiqh al-Sunnah, I'tiqad A'immat al-Sunnah, and names like that. And we spoke about what the word usul means when we spoke about when we taught the book by Imam al-Humaydi rahimahullah, and the word sunnah, what it means. I'tiqad is belief in which a person believes in his religion. So this inshallah ta'ala is going to be a fundamental book. It's not going to be about masail al-fiqh, it's not matters of fiqh, but it's going to be about masail which are aqaid matters related issues. This book is written by the two noble Imams, Abi Zur'ata and Abi Hatim al-Razi and Abi Zur'ata al-Razi rahimahumullah. May Allah have mercy on both of them. So we're going to start by talking about the biography of Al-Imam Abi Hatim al-Razi, and then we'll speak about then Abi Zur'ata al-Razi rahimahullah. The first point inshallah ta'ala of the biography of Imam Abi Hatim al-Razi is his name and his lineage. His name and his lineage. His name is Al-Imam al-Hafidh al-Naqid Shaykh al-Muhaddithin. His name is Muhammad. His name is Muhammad. His father's name is Idris. His granddad's name is Al-Mundhir ibn Dawood. So he's Muhammad ibn Idris ibn Al-Mundhir ibn Dawood ibn Mihran al-Hanbali. His kunya is Abu Hatim. His kunya is Abu Hatim. And he's an Hafidh. And he reached the pinnacle of this knowledge of hadith, rahimahullah. And Naqid is a person who specializes in al-jarh wa ta'deel. He had a ba', he had understanding. Shaykh al-Muhaddithin, he was the shaykh of the scholars of hadith. Abi Hatim al-Razi, as you can see from his name, Muhammad ibn Idris ibn al-Mundhir ibn Dawood ibn Mihran al-Hanbali al-Raziyu. That's his name, al-Raziyu. Al-Raziyu, it's from this place, it's from al-Ray, Medina al-Ray. Al-Ray right now, it falls in Tehran. Today, Tehran would be Ray, which once used to be what? Once it used to be, Tehran used to be what? Ardu Sunnah, where Ahlul Sunnah used to come up from. And ulama of the Sunnah used to come up from there, and now it's what? Ardu Rafd wa Tashayyu'. Today you can see the opposite to Sunnah, which is Shia, Al-Rafidha Ithna Ashariyah. That's the hub for them today. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. So how is it possible that his name is Ar-Raziyu when he's from Ar-Ray? How does that work? This is khilaf al-qiyas. This is the opposite to the what? To the qiyas of the sarfiyin. It should have not been al-raziyu. Where's the za from? Al-rayu. It shouldn't have been raziyu. Why is it raziyu, or how did it become razi? We just say sima. Sima. That's how it's heard. So we just take it. It's talaqi, we heard it like that, we say it the way it said. It's like the word maruzi. Al-maruziyu. It used to be, it's from maru. They added a za and a ya to it at the ending, and they called it what? The za, extra additional za there is maruziyu. It should have been what? Al-maru. It should have, it was from al-maru. And it became al-maruziyu. So all of that is what? Khilaf al-qiyas. He was from the greatest scholars of hadith. He was well known for his knowledge. He was madhkuran bil fadl. Good was mentioned about him. And he was from buhur al-ilm. He was an ocean of knowledge. And he is from the what? He's min nudara al-Bukhari. He's from the aqran of Imam al-Bukhari. Him and Bukhari are contemporaries. And he's from the level of Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah. But he lived after Imam al-Bukhari for a long period of time. أزيد من 20 عاما, 20 years after. You see? 20 years after Imam al-Bukhari he lived. He travelled طوف البلاد. Ibn Abu Hatim al-Razi, Abu Hatim, he travelled and he was well known وبرع في المتن والإسناد. He became very well known for his knowledge of the chain of narration and the wording of the hadith. Very well. وجمع وصنف وجرح وعدل وصحح وعلل. And he was what? He compiled, he authored, he criticized, he praised, he authenticated, and he weakened. The first time he, Abu Hatim al-Razi rahimahullah, he authored, or he went to write hadith, the first time he went out to write hadith was when the year was 209 Hijriya. It was the first time he sat down and he wrote hadith. And he's well known for what? He's well known for his traveling. He's well known for his teachers. Inshallah ta'ala, the second point regarding his life is نشأته وطلبه للعلم. How he grew up and how he seeked this knowledge. He was born, rahimahullah, ولد سنة 95 و100 في الري وإليها نسبته. He was born سنة 95. He was born 195 Hijriya. He was born 95 و100 في الري. He was born in Ray, the place we mentioned before. And that's what he's ascribed to. And what strengthens that was when he was born, and that strengthens that view, is what his son AbdulRahman, said. سمعت أبي, I heard my father said, كتبت الحديث, I wrote hadith سنة 9 و200. I wrote hadith the year سنة 9 و200, when it was 209. I wrote hadith. Are you with me? The first time I wrote. صح? And the son says, and he said, وأنا ابن 14 سنة, and I was only 14. So if you calculate that, you would find out he was born when? 195. It works like that. So that shows that's when he was born. This Imam, he traveled the earth, شرقا وغربا وجنوبا وشمالا. He traveled a lot. Rahimahullah rahmatan wasi'ah. And he endured through his traveling a lot of what? A lot of hardship. And he traveled very, very far on leg and walked a lot. All of that, why? So he can reach who? Akabir al-muhaddithin. So he can see the major scholars of hadith. وَلِفَادَةِ مِنْهُمْ, and he can benefit from them. وَالْكِتَابَةِ عَنْهُمْ, and he can write from them. He went to many places. He went to Iraq, he went to Sham, he went to Misr, Egypt, he went to Rome, and he died in Baghdad, rahimahullah. And here, his son is going to talk about his father, AbdulRahman ibn Abi Hatim. He said, I heard my father say, سمعت أبي يقول, I heard my father say, أول سنة خرجت في طلب الحديث أقمت 7 سنين. Abdul Rahman ibn Abi Hatim said, I heard my father say, the first time I went out to seek the knowledge of hadith, I remained for 7 years. I remained for 7 years. أحصيت ما مشيت على قدمي زيادة على 1000 فرسخ. And he said, I calculated the walking in which I did. I counted the walking in which I walked on my foot. I counted it. And it reached more than 1,000 farsakh. It was more than 1,000 farsakh. If you go to Imam al-Dhahabi, Siyar Alam al-Nubala, he says that the distance of 1,000 farsakh is 4 months of walking. How much? 4 months. So he said, I walked it. Is that it? No. Lam azil. He said, I never remained except counting it. حتى لما زاد على 1000 فرسخ. But he said, when it reached 1,000 farsakh, تركت. I stopped counting. After it reached 1,000, I stopped counting it. ما كنت سرت أنا من الكوفة إلى بغداد. فما لا أحصي كم مرة. He said, I don't know how many times in which I went from Kufa to Baghdad. I can't count it. There's no, you see, and from Mecca to Medina, many times. He said, I left Bahrain and I went to Egypt, walking. I went from Egypt to Ramallah, Mashiyan. I went from Ramallah to Bayt al-Maqdis, and from Ramallah ila Asqalan, and from Ramallah ila Tabariya, and from Tabariya ila Dimashq, and from Dimashq ila Hims, and from Hims ila Antakya. Antakya is the Syria. It's the edges of Syria. And from Antakya ila Tarasus. All of that I traveled, I walked it. Then he said, ثم رجعت من طرسوس إلى حمص. Then I came from Tarasus to Hims again. وكان بقي عليها شيء من حديث أبي يمان. And then he said, I came back to Tarasus again from Hims because there were some hadith that were remaining with Abu Yaman in which I wanted to hear from him. And he goes on talking about how his journeys were. And he endured, rahimahullah rahmatan wasi'ah, he endured a lot of si'ab, hardship, in which he went through in seeking hadith and seeking knowledge. And today what we want is to gain knowledge in what? Ease. We want it to come to us like that. But those who have sought it have gone through it. Imagine walking that much distances, and there are stories that are mentioned, amazing stories. His teachers in which he took knowledge from, inshallah ta'ala, we'll speak about. His teacher that he took from was Ubaydullah ibn Musa al-Badhan. Ubaydullah ibn Musa al-Badhan. Abu Nu'aym Fadl ibn Dukayn. These were the scholars and these are the narrators. And Ubaydullah ibn Musa al-Badhan and Abu Nu'aym Fadl ibn Dukayn, Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah narrated from these people. Sometimes directly and sometimes indirectly. Muhammad ibn Abdullah al-Ansari. These were the ulama of Kufa. نعم. ومحمد بن عبد الله الأنصاري والأصمعي عبد الملك بن قريب, and the scholars of Basra. He also narrated from who? Affan ibn Muslim al-Saffah, Hawdat ibn Khalifata, and they were ulama of Baghdad. He also narrated from who? Mishar, or Abu al-Jamahira, Muhammad ibn Uthman, and the scholars of Dimashq. He narrated from them. Also Abu al-Yaman, Yahya ibn Salih al-Huwati, al-Wuhadi, the scholars of Hims. He narrated from. He also narrated from who? Yunus ibn Abdul A'la, and Abdullah ibn Salih al-Misri, and Sa'id ibn Abi Maryam, the scholars of, and Layth ibn Sa'ad in Egypt. And there are many more in which he narrated from. His students in which who took knowledge from him, because he traveled a lot, his students are large in number. The scholars who narrated from him, some of them were people who he took from and some people who took from him. Both, they were from them. For example, Yunus ibn Abdul A'la, he took from him and he took from him. He took from him and he took from him. Rabi' ibn Sulaiman, he also, and other than them, who took from him, who narrated from him. His contemporaries, which were leveled with him. The scholar that we're going to take, his name Abu Zur'at al-Razi, rahimahullah. He's from the Aqran and the Nudara of Abi Hatim. Abu Zur'at al-Dimashqi also is from the people who are his Nudara. Muhammad ibn Awn al-Himsi. Also the people of the Sunan, Ashab al-Sunan, like Abu Dawood, al-Nasai, Ibn Majah. His own son, Abu Hatim's own son, AbdulRahman. AbdulRahman also is from the who? It's from the contemporary of his own father. Because they also narrate, if you narrate from the same sheikh as a person, you become his what? You become his companion. He authored many books. He has a book in I'tiqad. He has a book in Zuhd. He has a book in Tabaqat al-Tabi'een. He has a book in Tafsir of the Quran. He also has answers on some questions by Abi Uthman, Sa'id ibn Amr ibn Ammar, regarding the people who are weak and the liars. Ibn Nadim in his Fihrasat, he mentions other books that are his. A lot of those books that we have regarding him are what? They are maf'ood. We've lost them. A lot of his books haven't reached us. Rather, not many of them have actually come our way regarding. Scholars have praised him extensively. They've mentioned good about him. Rabi' ibn Sulaiman al-Muradi, who is Sahib al-Shafi'i rahimahullah, Imam al-Shafi'i's student. He said, لم نلقى, we never met مثل أبي زرعة وأبي حاتم ممن ورد علينا من العلماء. He said, we never met anyone like Abi Zur'a and Abi Hatim, who have come to us from the scholars. Abu Bakr al-Khatib al-Baghdadi, he said, كان أحد الأئمة الحفاظ الأثبات مشهورا بالعلم مذكورا بالفضل. He's from one of the greatest noble scholars of hifz and memorization. Very strong, solid. He's well known for his knowledge, and he's madhkuran bil fadl. He's mentioned with praise. You see, Al-Imam al-Nasa'i, when he was talking about him, he said thiqatun, a reliable individual. He said about Abu Hatim al-Razi. Yunus ibn Abdul A'la, the great noble, well famous Imam al-Mashhur. He said Abu Zur'a wa Abi Hatim imama Khurasan. He said Abu Zur'a and Abi Hatim are both two imams of Khurasan. وَدَعَى لَهُمَا, and he made dua for both of them. He made dua for them. Yunus ibn Abdul A'la is doing this. And then he said بِقَاؤُهُمَا صَلَاحٌ لِلْمُسْلِمِينَ. The remaining of these two individuals is a good thing for this ummah. And you see how the scholars realize the need for the ulama and the people of knowledge. When they live with the ummah, why? Because what they do is they do hirasatul hudud. They're the ones who protect the boundaries of the sharia. They also do what? Tasfiyat wa tarbiyah. They cultivate the ummah and they purify them from misguidance and innovation and shirk. And they cultivate the ummah upon what? They cultivate them upon tawheed and sunnah and obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Abu Qasim Hibatullah al-Laka'i, he said about him, كان أبو حاتم الرازي إماما عالما بالحديث حافظا له متقنا متثبتا. He said he was Abu Hatim al-Razi. He's an imam. He's a scholar of hadith. He is a hafiz. He reached that level of being a hafiz. He is one who is solid and great. Ibn al-Jawzi rahimahullah, he said about him, كان أحد الأئمة الحفاظ الأثبات العارفين بعلل الحديث والجرح والتعديل. He said he's what? He is one of the greatest hufaz. You see, he is one of the solidified athbat al-arifin, who are solid, who know the ilal, the defects of hadith. Not many people know this. Because remember when we took in our Nukhbat al-Fikr, we said that the ilal, the defect of hadith, is something ghamid, something that the eye cannot really see. Ilal is not inqita'u sanad, the chain of narration just being disconnected, or ta'anu fi rawi, the narrator being weak, or a criticism either coming to him from either min qibali hifdhihi or min qibali adalati. None of that. Ilal is a defect that comes and it's very ghamid, it's hard for the person to see. It's like the mursalul khafi and the tadlisul khafi. These ones, he could see it. الإمام أبو حاتم الرازي رحمه الله. الإمام الذهبي رحمه الله, he said الإمام الحافظ الناقد كان من بحور العلم طوف البلاد وبرع في المتن والإسناد وجمع وصنف وجرح وعدل وصحح وعلل. He said he's an imam naqid. Naqid is a person who rejects and refutes that which is incorrect. Is that it? لا. That's what he said. كان من بحور العلم. He was from the oceans of knowledge. طوف البلاد. He's traveled the world. You see, وَبَرَعَ فِي الْمَتْنِ وَالْإِسْنَادِ, and he became well known for the what? The matn, the wording of the hadith and the chain of narration. وَجَمَعَ وَصَنَّفَ, he compiled and he authored. وَجَرَّحَ وَعَدَّلَ, he criticized and he praised. وَصَحَّحَ وَعَلَّلَ, he weakened and he mentioned the authenticity. Ibn Nasir al-Din al-Dimashqi also praised him. He said, كان في مضمار البخاري وبزرعة جاريا وبمعاني الحديث عالما وفي الحفظ غالبا وأثنى عليه خلق من المحدثين. Ibn Imad al-Hanbali, Abu Bakr al-Khallad, and other than them, they all praised him. If you want to see more about his biography, you can go to these following. You can go to Al-Jarh wa Ta'dil by his own son, Ibn Abi Hatim al-Razi. He talks about his father. These are the places you can find his biography in. Sir A'lam al-Nubala, Imam al-Dhahabi rahimahullah, he speaks about him. Go to Tahdhib al-Kamal by Abu al-Hajjaj al-Mizzi. He speaks about him. Go to Tarikh al-Baghdad by Khatib al-Baghdadi. Go to Tabaqat al-Hanabila by Ibn Abi Ya'la rahimahullah. Go to Al-Wafi bil-Wafayat by As-Safadi. Go to Tadhkirat al-Huffaz by Imam al-Dhahabi. Go to Al-Muntadhab ibn al-Jawzi. And go to Shudarat al-Dhahab ibn Imad al-Hanbali. All of these places, these 9 masadir I told you, these 9 sources, you will find the tarjama of who Abu Hatim al-Razi rahimahullah. As for his aqeedah and how his aqeedah was like, then you will come to it inshallah ta'ala in this book and you'll see what kind of aqeedah he had. He died in Baghdad in the month of Sha'ban, سنة 7 و70 و200. He died the year 277. How old was he at that time? He was 82. He was 82 years of age when he died. Na'am. Abu Hatim al-Razi, what has to be mentioned, that is, he's from the scholars of hadith. When they level the scholars of hadith, ulama Jarh wa Ta'dil especially, when they are categorized, they're categorized into 3 categories. Those who are mutashaddidin, they're very harsh. Then there's those who are the mutawassitin, they are middle. They're not too extreme and they're not too harsh and they're not too soft. And the last ones are who? The mutasahilin, the ones who are very soft. So those are the 3 levels. The mutashaddid, the person who is what? Who's mutawassit. He's middle, he's not too hard. Are you with me? And the last one is what? The mutasahil. The people who, each category is this. The people who fall under the mutasahil are Ibn Hibban. Ibn Hibban is a mutasahil. But Ibn Hibban, some people just generalize the issue that Ibn Hibban is a mutasahil. That's not it as like that. It's good to go back to the Kitab al-Tankil بما في تأنيب الكوثري من الأباطيل by AbdulRahman al-Muallimi. Muallimi puts a nice qawaid, principles in how to deal with Abu Hatim's authentications of narrations. Because Ibn Hibban, 2 things have combined in him. He's a mutasahil and he's a mutashaddid. Both of them is present in him. So what is he a mutasahil in and what is he a mutashaddid in? The person needs to understand that well. But AbdulRahman al-Muallimi in his book At-Tankil bima fi ta'nib al-Kawthari min al-Abatil, he mentions points are very good. Very good. Na'am. Who's from the mutawassitin? Those who fall in the middle. And Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah. Imam al-Bukhari is from the mutawassitin. Also the people who are from the mutawassitin are Abu Zur'a. Abu Zur'a is a mutawassit. He's from the middle. Are you with me? Who are from the mutashaddidin? Those who are mutashaddid. Severe. From them is Abu Nu'aym Fadl ibn Dukayn, Affan ibn Muslim al-Saffah. We took them, those 2, we mentioned them before. And Abu Hatim al-Razi. Hatim al-Razi, he falls into the mutashaddidin. He's a mutashaddid. So when Abu Hatim criticizes a person, are you with me? When he criticizes a person, because he's on that level of tashaddud, when he and Abu Zur'a agree on somebody, then take it. Because there's a mutashaddid and there's a person who's in the middle, who's a mutawassit. When they both come together, you take it. You see? So Abu Zur'a is a mutashaddid in hadith. Abu Hatim is a mutashaddid. Abu Hatim is a mutashaddid. Abu Zur'a is a mutawassit. The middle. Now the second person who this book, this aqeedah is going to be spoken about is Abu Zur'at al-Razi rahimahullah. الإمام أبو زرعة الرازي, he's الإمام محافظ العصر محدث الري أحد الأئمة المشهورين والأعلام المذكورين والجوالين المكثرين والحفاظ المتقنين. أبو زرعة عبيد الله ابن عبد الكريم ابن يزيد ابن فروخ القرشي المخزومي الرازي. That is his name. His name is عبيد الله ابن عبد الكريم ابن يزيد ابن فروخ القرشي. He's Quraysh. He's a Makhzumi and he's a Razi. His kunya is Abu Zur'a, and that he became very famous for his kunya. But the nisbah of Quraysh, in which he's ascribed to Quraysh al-Makhzumi, is nisbata wala. And we've previously spoken about the types of wala there are previously. He was born when? ولد سنة 200. He was born 200 approximately, or something close to that. So he's 5 years approximately after who? Abu Hatim. How was he raised and how did he grow up? He seeked hadith, he narrated, he's traveled to Hijaz, he traveled to Sham, he traveled to Egypt, Misr, Iraq, Al Jazeera, Khurasan. He traveled and he wrote that which cannot be counted. Many narrations. And he started to seek knowledge at a very early age of his life. As Imam al-Dhahabi rahimahullah said, وَطَلَبَ هَذَا الشَّأْنِ وَهُوَ حَدَثٌ. He's embarked on seeking the knowledge of hadith at a very young age. Ibn Rajab said in Sharh Ilal Tirmidhi, and Imam Ibn Rajab, he said in the Sharh of Ilal Tirmidhi, he said, أحد الأعلام وحفاظ الإسلام وكان من الصلاح والعبادة والخشية بمحل عظيم. He said he was one of the great noble scholars. You see, وكان من الصلاح والعبادة. He reached in terms of piety and worship and the fear of Allah a high station. A high station. He reached a high station. His scholars that he narrated from and that he took knowledge from, because he traveled to Haramain, Iraq, Sham, Jazeera, Khurasan and Misr, he narrated from a lot of people. From those he narrated from is Abi Asim, Abu Nu'aym, Qabisa ibn Uqba, Muslim ibn Ibrahim, Abu al-Walid al-Tayalisi, Ahmad ibn Yunus, wa Khalad ibn Yahya, والقعنبي ومحمد بن سعيد بن سابق وأبي ثابت المدني وأبي سلمة التبوذكي والحكم بن موسى ويحيى بن عبد الله بن بكير, and many more. The ones who narrated from him and are his students are Imam Muslim and Imam Tirmidhi, An-Nasa'i, Ibn Majah, Ishaq ibn Musa al-Ansari, Harmalat ibn Yahya, وربيع ibn Sulaiman, ومحمد ibn Humayd al-Razi, وعمر ibn Ali, ويونس ibn Abd al-A'la, and other than them. As for Imam Muslim, he only narrated from him once in his Sahih. Imam Muslim narrated from an Imam Abu Zur'at al-Razi one place in his Sahih. As Imam al-Nawawi mentions in his Sharh of Sahih Muslim. He says, وَهَذَا الْحَدِيثُ, which hadith is referring to? The hadith of اللهم إني أعوذ بك من زوال نعمتك وتحول عافيتك وفجاءة نقمتك وجميع سخطك. That hadith, الإمام النووي رحمه الله said, وهذا الحديث رواه مسلم عن أبي زرعة الرازي أحد حفاظ الإسلام وأكثرهم حفظا ولم يروي مسلم في صحيحه عنه غير هذا الحديث. Imam Muslim did not narrate from him anywhere else except this place. وهو من أقران مسلم. And he's also from what? He's also from the contemporaries of Muslim. And he's also his student. توفي بعد مسلم بثلاث سنين. Abu Zur'a died how many years after? After Abi Zur'a. Sorry, Abi Zur'a died 3 years after Imam Muslim, which is سنة 64 و200. He died the year 264. Abi Zur'at al-Razi rahimahullah, many ai praised him. And Imam al-Nasa'i said he's a thiqah. Abu Hatim said he's an imam. Abu Hatim, who's a mutashaddid, said about him he's an imam. Said he's an imam. Abu Bakr Khatib al-Baghdadi, he said كان إماما رزينا حافظا مكثرا صادقا. He said he's an imam. You see, he was a hafiz, one who narrated a lot and he was truthful. He also said about him كان إماما ربانيا حافظا متقنا مكثرا جالس أحمد بن حنبل وذاكره. He is an imam. He's a godly imam. ربانيا حافظا متقنا. He's also a scholar who solidified himself in hadith, narrated a lot. He sat with Imam Ahmad. He didn't just sit with Imam Ahmad. Imam Ahmad stopped all his nawafil just to do mudhakara with Abu Zur'a. Imam Ahmad, when they asked him, he said, I don't do mudhakara anymore. I don't do nawafil. I left my nafila and my voluntary prayers so I can do mudhakara with Abu Zur'a, this young boy. Imam Ahmad said this. And that praise you, because Imam Ahmad referred to him as a sheikh. He said, I left my sunan, my voluntary prayers, for this young sheikh. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal said this. Imam Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. and Abdullah narrated this, his own son, Imam Ahmad's son narrated. He said, لما قدم أبو زرعة نزل عند أبي. When Abu Zur'a came to Baghdad, he met who? Imam Ahmad. He said he came to my father. وكان كثير المذاكرة له. And they used to revise a lot. فسمعت أبي يقول يوما, I heard my father one day say, ما صليت غير الفرض. I don't pray except the voluntary wajibat. I only pray the wajibat now. استأثرت بمذاكرة أبي زرعة. I gave precedence to the revision of Abu Zur'a. I mean him to revise. I gave precedence to that. Imam Ahmad said that, rahimahullah ta'ala.